Video games are pretty much worthless, well, in their physical form. A mix of plastic, cardboard, and occasionally a compact disc or two, there's no surprise you can find them dirt cheap at boot sales or on eBay. However, there are certain titles that, in their physical form, can fetch healthy amounts of dollar. From simply older, rarer games to limited edition runs of special editions of modern games, collectors have given even the most surprising titles one hefty price tag. The thing is, the titles on this list aren't exactly impossible to find, so much so, there might be one lying around in your parents' house, or up in your loft, or it's on the shelf, right there in front of you, staring at you in the face saying, "Sell me!" You never know, you could be sitting on a pretty penny, or two, or a couple of 100,000. I'm Rich from What Culture, and these are 10 highly valuable video games you might actually own. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to stay notified. Ding, ding, done. Number 10, EARTHBOUND. 1995's EARTHBOUND for the SNES was somewhat a sleeper hit. Not so much that people went in with low expectations just to be surprised, more that it just didn't really catch on. Arguably the most legendary JRPG ever made is worth quite a lot if you've got an original copy lying around. Thanks to that lack of interest back in the mid-90s, there weren't masses of cartridges produced, so if you've got one lying around you could get around $200 for it. If you've somehow been sitting on a factory sealed copy, you could be getting around $2,000. Oi, don't go rummaging around just yet, you've still got 9 entries to go. Number 9, Donkey Kong Country 3. While not as celebrated as the first 2 titles in the series, Donkey Kong Country 3 is still a renowned Nintendo platformer. With a renewed interest in the series through Nintendo's Virtual Console, original copies of Donkey Kong Country 3 are starting to grow in value. A used, boxed copy could bag you around $300 if it's not too battered, where a sealed copy could land you $1,500. If you're a proud owner of the trilogy on the SNES, that one sitting on the end might just be worth something. Number 8, Mass Effect Limited Edition. Considering the first Mass Effect launched only in 2007, it's doing pretty well for itself in terms of value. That is if you're on about the limited edition version, which I am. The metal tin has not only a copy of the game, but also a bonus DVD, an art book, and a small guide to the Mass Effect universe. This Xbox 360 special edition can go for around $90 if you've had a good flick through the books and played it a few times. But if you have a version sealed and unscathed, you could be looking at around $400. For an 11-year-old game, it's really not done too bad. Number 7, Luigi's Mansion. It's not very often a GameCube title rolls around and becomes something of a collector's item. Luigi's Mansion, a launch title for the system back in 2001, has become exactly that. The title fell into obscurity when Super Mario Sunshine released, which, even though Luigi's Mansion is a great title, isn't a massive surprise when you look at just how good Super Mario Sunshine is. Now, don't get too excited, as if your copy bears a player's choice on the label, you won't get very far, they only fetch around $30. But if yours is an original black label copy, you'll be doing moderately better, with used editions going for around $100, with sealed editions going for over $900, with some listings even peaking at $1,500. Go Luigi. Number 6, World of Warcraft Collector's Edition. If you haven't heard of World of Warcraft, it's pretty obvious you're living under a rock on the dark side of Neptune. The most subscribed MMORPG is still going strong today, but if you have a collector's edition of the 2004 base game, you're potentially quids in. The game was bundled in with an art book, a DVD, a soundtrack, and your usual things, but also some in-game pets that were only available with that limited edition. Codes for the pets alone can sell for about $1,800 thanks to their rarity, but if you have the whole box together, sealed, codes unused and all, you could be looking at a healthy $2,600. If you still have a boxed edition, used all the codes but still have the goodies intact, you could still fetch a reasonable $300. Number 5, The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening DX. One of the most popular titles for the Game Boy Color, The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening DX is a color remake of the original Game Boy title. It's possibly the most underrated Zelda title out there, and no Game Boy or Game Boy Color collection was complete without it. If you're now scrambling to the internet to complete your collection, get ready to dish out those pennies. Even with in excess of 2 million copies sold, even the most battered boxed copies sell for around $100, and if you're lucky enough to have a factory sealed copy, you'll be getting about $800 for it. If you've only got the cartridge though, you'll be getting shrapnel, which if you're not British essentially means f*** all. Number 4, Super Mario Bros. Who'd have thought that one of the best-selling and most iconic video games of all time could be worth so much? Well, it's only really certain copies of this 1985 NES classic that can fetch a hefty sum on the collector's market. Your box standard copy could get up to about $200 depending on its condition, where a sealed box copy could bag you upwards of $600. The most valuable version of Super Mario Bros. Is a rather rare edition with exclusive artwork for original distribution in Asia. One copy sold on eBay for an eye-watering $25,000, so if you've got one of those lying around, you're pretty much set. Number 3. Uncharted 2 Among Thieves Fortune Hunter Edition. The newest title on this list, Uncharted 2 received a special edition in the form of the Fortune Hunter Edition, which was limited to only 200 units. It wasn't easy to get your hands on one of these in the first place, however, as you could only obtain a copy if you won a very limited competition. With an art book and a highly detailed dagger replica, it's quite the fancy collector's edition, and subsequently, Uncharted fans pay quite handsomely for these. Opened and used editions can sell for around $9,000, where sealed copies go for in excess of $11,000. If you were a winner and are now short on cash, in the words of my fellow presenter and serial public masturbator, you're welcome. Number 2. Air Raid. The only Atari 2600 title on this list, Air Raid was your bog standard shoot-'em-up. With a blue T-handle shaped cartridge and a limited distribution, this odd game was highly sought after by video game collectors. Since it is so rare, very few times has the title appeared on any marketplace. In 2011, however, a cartridge-only copy sold for $3,575, but then in 2012, the first boxed copy of Air Raid sold for a staggering $33,433.30. Time to go and check your 2600 collection, folks. And number 1, Nintendo World Championships. I guess this is the most iconic, rare game ever. Only obtainable by competing in the legendary Nintendo World Championships in the 90s, unless you have a time machine or money to burn, you're not getting your hands on a copy of this anytime soon. There are only 90 grey and 26 gold cartridges in existence, with each copy containing timed version of Tetris, Rad Racer and Super Mario Bros. Grey cartridges usually start at around $8,000 at auction, with gold carts kicking things off at $15,000. Back in 2014, a grey cartridge with a torn label and Mario scrawled across the sticker residue sold for a truly ridiculous $99,902. Get label tearing, viewer. It obviously increases the value.
Hey guys, thanks for making it to the end of the video. Aren't you a star? Don't forget to subscribe below, and also the people who made this video, they're right here, so go and follow them and give them some love. If you want to see more content, there's probably some stuff flowing up above my head. Why not check it out? It could be fun. I'm not your dad.